Hi, my name is Monika Dutt, and I live in Sydney, Nova Scotia, but I work for Newfoundland Labrador, and I work for Western Newfoundland, and so I have mainly worked by distance, but I take the ferry over quite a bit, and the ferry goes from North Sydney, Nova Scotia, to Port aux Basques, Newfoundland. So the story I wrote called Foundations, I'm going to read you an excerpt from that, and this is about a trip I took when I was coming back to Nova Scotia, and I was driving from Corner Brook, Newfoundland to Port aux Basques to catch the ferry, and I was with my 10-year-old son, and the snow was starting and darkness was settling, and I had flat tire after flat tire to contend with. I put the lug wrench onto the first nut on the tire and pushed my foot on the lever. The nut didn't budge. I pushed harder. Nothing. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath. I moved on to the next nut, needing at least a sliver of success to buoy me up. I pushed the lever. Nothing. If these rusted pieces of metal didn't budge, we wouldn't get to Nova Scotia tonight. The snow falling around me was mirrored in my mind, a curtain blocking me from being able to think through next steps. Tears started to well up in my eyes, dampness that crystallized onto my cheeks in the wind. "You can do this," I muttered, trying to send mental energy through my body to the tool I held, the nut I needed to loosen. Then, emanating from deep inside of the car where I thought Cale was sleeping, came a tiny voice. "You can do this, Ma." I let the tools clatter to the ground as I ran around the car and opened his door. He had the same determined look on his face that I had had just seconds ago. I wrapped my arms around him, breathing in the scent of his hair, the shampoo from his bath earlier in the day. "You can do this, Ma," he yelled into my shoulder like I was about to run the Olympic 100-meter dash. "I can do this," I yelled back. We were both smiling, tear-filled smiles. "I can do this. I can do this." We continued to chant as I returned to the tire. "It's not like you're trying to do something that hasn't been done a million times before," I told myself. "People accomplish so much in life. You can change a tire." There was something unacceptably cliched about being a brown woman, the daughter of immigrants, stranded on a highway during a Canadian winter, unable to change a tire. The next time I heaved on a lever, the nut budged. Then another, then another. I slipped the jack under the car and turned the handle, my fingers increasingly numb as the minutes passed. I got the spare tire on and tightened the nuts as best I could. I shoved the tire into the trunk and threw our belongings haphazardly on top. I was losing time quickly now. I definitely wouldn't be arriving 2 hours before ferry departure. I called the ferry. My words tumbled out as I talked to Sherry, the unsuspecting customer service agent who just happened to be the one to take my call. In tears, I told her that I was going to be late. "Please, please, can you still let me on when I get there?" "Oh, yes, my dear," she replied with the voice of someone who had dealt with endless harried passengers. "You just get here safely and we'll let you on. If you can get here at least 15 minutes before leaving, we can manage." It was 10 p.m. now. 1 more hour to go. My headlights gave minimal visibility, but the high beams were worse as the light reflected off the flurries. But still, even driving slowly, I would beat the 15 minutes. I imagined the cabin on the ferry with its compact, firm beds and couldn't think of anywhere else I'd rather be. Rocking gently on the ocean and drifting to sleep, Cale's quiet face across from me. For the first time, my shoulders relaxed. Cale was asleep in the back seat. I opened the window slightly to let in cold air to keep me alert. I hungrily watched each road sign that passed, internally celebrating the passing kilometers. I heard the crunch through the window as the car lurched, sending my stomach into my shoes. The car swiveled awkwardly like a newborn deer trying to navigate. I directed the car to the shoulder, cringing with every clunking roll of the wheel. "Ma," Cale's voice from the back seat. "What happened?" In the rearview mirror, I could see his wide eyes and open mouth. I think we hit a pothole. The spare tire is flat." This was it. I had tried, I had failed. I leaned my head onto the steering wheel and let go. The tears were unstoppable, my chest heaved. There was rustling in the back seat, then light pressure on my back. I straightened up, glasses slipping down on the slickness of my nose. Cale had moved in the space between the front seats and put his hand on me. He leaned his head against my shoulder. "We're not going home tonight, are we?" "No, Shona, I don't think so." "That's okay, Ma. I like Newfoundland. Do you want to hear my favorite song?" He was so nonchalant, I couldn't help but laugh. I thought of my mother, who had died just before Cale was born. She and Cale would have been best of friends with their love of life and easy dismissal of circumstances beyond their control. I looked at Cale's dancing eyes and imagined my mother's voice like I had heard it over the phone through the many cities and towns I had lived in. Now it enveloped me as we rested at an awkward angle on this rural Newfoundland highway. You'll get through this. You always do. All that's happening can be dealt with. Things are breaking down, but you've got your beautiful boy. Things can be fixed. They can be replaced. It's a thing, a tire, a car. We can fix that. And in the meantime, I'll have a dance party with my kid on the highway. Turn it up, Cale, I said as I opened the door and jumped into the car. Let's dance. He slipped on his boot and coat and got out of the car. He rested the iPad on the roof, his favorite rap song playing. The beat was swallowed by the tall balsam firs and birch trees, the road, the galaxy, but we could hear it, could feel it. We danced, waving our arms and turning under hazy clouds, flurries catching in our eyelashes. Thank you.